Ragin Cajuns better not take Southern Miss lightly. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
All right, welcome back to another edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. Today's episode brought to you by PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match of up to $100. Daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, good episode for you today. We'll talk about the Cajuns and Southern Miss. That's coming up tonight here in Lafayette. I'll be there at Cajun Field. Carter Bradley, a game-time decision for South Alabama, which sounds like he's not going to play. And then you have an interesting Texas State at Coastal Carolina matchup, TJ Finley versus Ethan Vasko. Oh, boy. Let's talk about that Louisiana Southern Miss ball game. So it's a little bit different of a situation, although it's not a letdown game, that's for sure. And so had multiple reports from people that the veterans on the Ragin Cajuns were not happy with the play of a lot of the players, that they were sleepwalking, if you will. And it kind of looked that way on TV. They just weren't trying, right? They laid an egg. They had a letdown game coming off the emotional win over South Alabama. And it really did show. They played well again for about a total of 10-minute game plan, 10 minutes game time, excluding the 87-yard touchdown pass early on in the ballgame, right? They went from down 20-7 to down 20-17. You had halftime in between, and then they just couldn't get anything going, and then Zion Chris got hurt, and that's where Chandler Fields comes in. So first, you got to be up for the game. You have 3 of these left. 2 are at home. The one on the road is Troy. That's going to be hard. Okay, I know they went on the road to beat South Alabama and played extremely well, their best ball game. The game against Troy is going to be hard. Troy's going for another Sun Belt championship. Troy was down 17-0 to the game last year, still won. But you got to know that John Summerall is like, if you guys don't think they're going to come in here and do, what they tried to do last year, think again. So John Summerall will have his Troy team ready to play in a couple of weeks. And so the Cajuns have to be up for the Southern Miss team. Southern Miss has all of a sudden found a little footing offensively. They haven't scored a whole lot of points this year. I think they scored points in losses to Arkansas State, to Texas State. They also scored 38 points in a loss to App State. They scored 24 points in a win over ULM. So they have scored 38 and 24, 62. My understanding is there would be no math, but they scored 62 points in their last couple of ball games. Not so sure about their defense just yet, because their defense and offense, complementary football, if you will, turned a 38-28 fourth quarter lead into a 48-38 loss to App State. That was 2 weeks ago. They did a good job controlling the ball against ULM and didn't put up a whole lot of points, but didn't allow much either, just 7. So South Alabama, all of a sudden, probably a little bit confident. Looking forward to all of a sudden now playing the Cajuns' third-string quarterback. Chandler Fields will start. Zion Chris has not been ruled out for the season. But again, I'm standing by my report that he's got a broken leg. So, going to heal in a few weeks. It's not a, huge injury. It is an injury for the remainder of the season, probably. Unless they go to a bowl game, maybe he would be back for the bowl game. All right. And that's what's on the line here. All right. What you don't want, if you're the Cajuns, is to put the whole season on the last game against ULM. And then who knows what happens, right? What happens if Chandler Fields goes down and you're down to the 4th-string quarterback? You can't have that. So the first thing you have to do is make sure that you're fired up and raring to go. I don't think there's going to be a big crowd. I could be wrong. It hasn't really been big crowds outside of maybe the first game of the year. I'm not even sure the student section. I mean, they put pictures up of the student section at Georgia State. That it was 80% full. I think the Northwestern State ball game was more full, but whatever. The Cajuns need to be pumped up and raring to go. Okay, they got 3 more of these. Mike Desmo says that all the time. Look, we don't play basketball. We're not playing 30. We're not baseball. We're not playing, 56. We get 12. We play once a week, and this one's early. That makes it a little tougher. So you got to be jacked up and raring to go. It's a little bit easier on Desmo that he's not breaking in your normal third-string quarterback, like what plays are we going to play. Chandler Fields knows the offense. All right, it's the same offense as last year, or they tweaked it to, fit this team. And so, he was getting reps in camp, right? Didn't get reps in spring, but got reps in camp. So he's been around the program. He knows what's going on. All right, they will use what plays for him to be their strengths. And then use those strengths. I happen to think this is going to be a ground and pound ball game. I would pick the under in this one. I'd be shocked if, the over-under is 50.5. I would take the under in this one. I think you're going to see a lot of, we're going to punt it away and play defense. All right. Having said that, Cajuns need to play much better defense than they did last time against Arkansas State, because I think Southern Miss is going to do the same thing, and they're going to just hand it to Frank Gore and say, do your thing. All right, Billy Wiles just hasn't got a whole lot better this year. Even last game, he struggled against ULM, but they had Frank Gore. And so I think I don't think the game's going to last very long, even if it's on ESPNU. I think it's going to be a lot of running the football. Chandler Fields can throw the ball. All right. He led the Cajuns almost to a field goal. I know that's almost, doesn't really count, but he's coming in cold, converts like a 3rd down and 12 after Zeon Chris puts an air cast on and has to be carted off the field. That's not the easiest spot to come in. And it was like on the 12-yard line. So, again, I would look for Southern Miss to cover this game, but a 10-point spread. I think it's going to be a 1-score ball game. Unless there's a lot of turnovers involved or special team scores, I think it's going to be a very close ball game. I'm looking at 27-21, maybe even 24-17 Cajuns. That's what I think. All right. Unless it spirals out of control, which football games tend to do. You get behind, and now you're doing things that you don't want to be doing, throwing the ball a little bit too much. I would be shocked if they come out and it doesn't mean, throw the ball, but try to establish the pass first. They overthink this. Napier did the same thing. Everyone's trying to stop the Cajuns from running, so the coaches overthink it and then throw the ball. Last week, Zeon Chris was not bad play. Got to come up with an easier play than rolling to your left on the first play. I mean, can we roll to the right? If we're going to pass the ball, roll to the right. But I think, Desmo may overthink that. I certainly know that Napier overthought it. He's like, well, everyone's going to try and stop us. They got too many guys in the box. Yeah, but you had guys that it didn't matter. Just run the football. All right. So we'll see how that goes for the Cajuns and Southern Miss. The Fighting Will Halls coming into town. Hopefully we'll see Coach on the field right before the ball game. And according to Scott Watkins from the Sun Herald, Will Hall is safe for the season. There will be staff changes moving forward. So I don't know if they need another quarterback. Frank Gore actually has another year of eligibility. I would be surprised if he came back, right? Kind of surprised he came back last year. He may just make his home there in Hattiesburg, which is not the worst thing ever. So we'll see about this ball game. Should be nice weather. All right. It'd be nice if there was a big crowd. I don't think there's going to be. All right. If the Cajuns had won that game in Arkansas State, maybe a little bit more. If they had won, a few more ball games, Georgia State, Arkansas State, maybe a big crowd. If Southern Miss had won a few ball games, they would get some people over here for the night, but they're 2-7. All right. Let's take a timeout. When we come back, we will talk about South Alabama and Arkansas State. Can Arkansas State avoid having the letdown game after their big win against the Ragin Cajuns? Time to tell you about Jace Medical. We spent a lot of time talking together, you and I. We get fired up together on wins and losses, who starts and who sits. I'm thankful for the connection we have. And today I want to our chat to be a little bit more personal. Whether you're on extended travel, bracing for a major weather event, or limited by yet another supply shortage, you are covered, my friend. Thanks to our partners at Jace Medical, life-saving antibiotics and a long list of daily medications can be ordered in a 1-year supply, even ED generics for Cialis and Viagra. Go online right now at jacemedical.com to receive your 12-month supply on your daily medication. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON at checkout for a discount as well. Verified customer had this to say about Jace. I'm thankful for this service. Supply chain issues have caused me to cut pills in half to have it. I ordered most of my daily meds with a year supply. I also ordered an antibiotic kit. I feel secure now. Prices are lower than local pharmacies. I highly recommend this for everyone. If you or someone you love would get some peace of mind by having a year's supply of any daily med, go to jacemedical.com to see if it's offered for you. Remember to use promo code LOCKEDON for $20 off your purchase. That's jacemedical.com. JASE medical.com. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. The Arkansas State Red Wolves coming off a huge win against the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. Oddly enough, are a big underdog. Seems we're going in the wrong direction. Against South Alabama, -12. Now, we got a little gamesmanship here. It was against the Cajuns. Carter Bradley injured looks to be his left knee on basically the last play of the game, going for a 2-point conversion. Did not play in the game against Troy. That was on a short week. He has had 10 days since then. He will have 10 days since then. And 2 weeks since he injured the knee. All right. Craig Stevenson, AL.com tells us, excuse me, tells us what Kane Womack said. I guess yesterday, Carter was still limited, but got reps at the end there with the first team offense, which was nice. He's still favoring it, and we've got to be careful with him. But based off what I saw today, I think if he continues to improve, he's got a chance to be a game-time decision. But I thought Gio Lopez and Desmond Trotter looked really good. They took the majority of the reps, but I feel like Bradley was in a really good place today. All right, let's make sure we understand what he says again. I think if he continues to improve, he's got a chance to be a game-time decision. All right. That is Kane Womack throwing it out there. Bradley might play. So you got to prepare for Bradley when really Gio Lopez is going to play. Based on that, and I don't know anything. I'm not there anymore. I'm here in Lafayette. But it does feel like Coach Womack is throwing up the smoke screen for Butch Jones. You got to watch the film. You got to be ready for him a little bit. But I don't think it's going to be a very intensive preparation to play against Carter Bradley. It will be Gio Lopez's first start, I think, at home. Okay, so obviously his last start, which was his first start, was against Troy. And then they're playing Arkansas State. This ball game is at 4 p.m. All right. Arkansas State needs to avoid what happened to the Cajuns when they went to play. All right. South Alabama is in a more precarious situation than the Cajuns are. They're 4-5. They need to win 2 out of their last 3 ball games to get to a bowl, and their last game is on the road at Texas State. They got Arkansas State and Marshall, and I'm sure I was counting both of those as a win. I think Marshall will be a win, but they need to beat Arkansas State or Texas State on the road against what is a very good football team. So, I would say if Carter Bradley was healthy, first of all, that's a 12-point spread. I don't understand that at all. Something's not kosher. All right. I don't get that at all. Okay. If Carter Bradley was playing, maybe you could see it like a 10-point ball game. But they just have not been consistent enough. I really think Arkansas State's going to come in and win this ballgame. You want to give me the 12 points, I'll take the 12 points, but they got to be a huge underdog, so I'll take the money line as well. I'm taking Arkansas State to win this. I hope Carter Bradley's okay. They're starting with the Senior Bowl invites and acceptances, and this is where the Senior Bowl is played. He probably hasn't had the kind of year that he wanted to have. The team certainly hasn't. Some of his numbers are a little misleading because they blew out Southern Miss with 7 rushing touchdowns. So he didn't throw any touchdowns because he kept on handing the ball off and they kept on scoring. Oh, well. Certainly Jim Nagy is very familiar with Carter Bradley, and we'll see if he gets a shot to play the Senior Bowl in Mobile. But most importantly, he needs to be healthy to go through the draft process, whatever that may be. All right. I have a feeling if it's not the Senior Bowl, Carter Bradley will be in a college football all-star game to get a shot to get drafted. All right. Not to mention his father is the defensive coordinator of the Colts. That's where the combine is. We'll see if that works out for him. All right, let's take a timeout. When we come back, we have an interesting quarterback. I wasn't going to say competition, but matchup would be a better word. Texas State's TJ Finley at the top of the Sun Belt versus Ethan Vasko. Didn't quite make a start last week, but played most of the ball game, getting his first start. All right, it is Dave Schultz, Locked On Sun Belt. Time to tell you about PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this football season, and now I can play during basketball season too. You just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. With the basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that includes 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, LeBron James plus Travis Kelce in a 10.5 combo of 3-pointers made and receptions. Testing my skills on PrizePicks this season, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. PrizePicks is really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. Quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, and an enormous selection of players and stat types are what make PrizePicks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. PrizePicks offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value. PrizePicks now offers Apple Pay for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match of up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/lockedoncollege and use code LockedOnCollege for a first deposit match of up to $100. PrizePicks, daily fantasy sports made easy. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your team every day. So at the top of the Sunbelt statistics, you have TJ Finley in yards and touchdowns. And at the bottom, you have Ethan Vasko, although he played very well last week, right? It was Grayson McCall, the starter, 3-time Offensive Player of the Year, got banged up, I believe, in the game against Arkansas State. All right, then it was Jared Guest who led them to a victory. Guest, I think, played 1 play in the game against ODU and could not go after that. And Ethan Vasko, redshirt freshman, has a shot. They fall way behind, 21-6. The ball game's basically over, and he runs for a 75-yard touchdown. Gets him back into it. And Coastal outscores ODU in Virginia 15-3 in the 4th to win the ball game 28-24. So you have this big time. Okay, now here's going to be the difference. All right, because this is what GJ Kinney can say to Coastal and with Coastal Carolina. All right, Coastal Carolina is 6-3. They're 4-2 overall. All right, Texas State coming off the huge win against Georgia Southern. They're bowl bound. Everyone jumped in the river, and they're having their most successful season basically ever. What GJ Kinney's going to say is prove it. All right. Don't go in there and lay an egg and say, you're fortunate. Go into Coastal Carolina, go into Conway, and show everybody that you are on the same level as the team that's basically been, the trendsetter for the last 4 or 5 years. Sorry, JMU. Before JMU. And before Troy, for that fact of the matter, right? They were the top of the heap for the last few years before that. And so go in there and prove it, all right? Take the show on the road. They're slightly favored, which is a little bit interesting. Now, what is Tim Beck going to do? Tim Beck needs to be congratulated as well. G.J. Kinney's got his team playing well, bowl-bound. So does Tim Beck. Tim Beck's team was in last place. They were 1-2. They've won 3 in a row. Now they're bringing in Texas State. Now Tim Beck's going to say, all right, guys, you think you guys are good? All right. You went on the road and beat ODU. You think you guys are pretty good? Let's see you slow down TJ Finley and Ismail Mahdi. All right. Let's see you slow down that offense and see what we can do offensively. I think this is going to be a great football game. I'm going to take Texas State. I think G.J. Kinney's going to have them fired up and ready to play. Let's see if I think it's on ESPN Plus. Really deserves to be on TV. It is on ESPN Plus. It is 2:30 Central Time, 3:30 local time. This may be like one of the better ball games of the weekend. You have App State and Georgia State. See, Georgia Southern and Marshall may not be close. Troy Monroe's not going to be close. James Madison, UConn not going to be close. I don't think Liberty and Old Dominion are going to be close. I think the Cajuns, Southern Miss, and South Alabama and Arkansas State will be close. Those other ones are not. And that Texas State Coastal has a chance to be a very good ball game and close. Now, any of those games I think are going to be close, someone's got a +3 or +4 turnover margin, that takes all responsibility away, because you never know if these games spiral out of control after that. But I think it's going to be a great ball game. Coastal was picked 4th in the division, right? I got to go back and look, because JMU was picked 1. App State was picked 2. I thought Marshall was picked 3. So either Coastal or Marshall was picked 3, and the other one was picked 4th. Now, Marshall has lost 5 in a row. The bottom has fallen out of that this year. Who knows why? Whereas, JMU is playing with a third-string quarterback, just like the Cajuns are playing with a third-string quarterback. Their third-string quarterback already won a ball game. So it's got a lot of there's a little juice, as someone would say, in that ball game. Again, I think Texas State's going to win. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. Let's see how Texas State does on the road, because they play very well at home. Let's see what they've done on the road. Now, they beat Baylor on the road, all right, but they laid an egg the next week against UTSA. They did a number on Southern Miss, putting 50 points up on the board, allowing 36. They laid an egg at the end of the ball, Cajuns. They played well, except about the last 8 minutes of the game. And then Monroe, Troy, Georgia Southern, they haven't been on the road since the Louisiana ball game. So they have 2 of their last 3 are Coastal, at Arkansas State, and then home versus South Alabama. So I'd say 2 of their 3 losses are on the road. I think that may be more about the opponent than themselves, although they would probably tell you they didn't play very well against UTSA, TJ Finley in particular, but that's way back when. I think they're going to go on the road, and technically they have a real outside shot. They're going to need Troy to lose a bunch if they're going to win the division, and Coastal Carolina right now is, in line to, potentially be in the East, in the Sun Belt Championship for the East, unless JMU gets the waiver. If JMU gets the waiver, then that's going to be a problem. Let's see who they've lost to. So they have lost to Georgia State and Georgia Southern, but all right. So Georgia Southern is a half a game back. Georgia State's already got 3 losses. So they don't have to worry about Georgia State. Coastal is going to need Georgia Southern to have another loss to not lose that tiebreaker. All right. The thought process is we will have a Cajuns recap, Cajun Southern Miss recap, and it'll be up in theory first thing Friday morning. In theory. So I'll do my show, which ends at 4:30, which is great. I could technically come back and take a nap if I wanted to, which I won't. But after the ball game, I have to do it's the Rage. It's the call-in show. It's called the Rage. Ragin Cajuns, get it? Rage. So that is usually somewhere about a half an hour to 45 minutes after the game. And then it's, depending on the situation, a half an hour to 45 minutes after that. So the game's at 6:30. Hopefully it ends by 10. Could be less if it's a bunch on the run. A bunch of running is what I think it's going to be. So 10. So maybe I start at 10:30, quarter of 11, and then, done by probably 11:30. And then it's like midnight by the time I get back here and start the show. So the idea is to get it done. Maybe we just sleep in Friday morning. That would be the idea. So just take a little bit more time on Friday, which I could do. So just take a little bit more of a break. Although we do get Saturday off, we get to watch the LSU game here because the Cajuns are done. So hashtag always a bright side. All right. Anyways, that's the plan. In theory, we will get one done right after I'm done with the radio show on 103.3 The GOAT. All right. Continued thanks for supporting the channel. Continue to tell people about it and subscribe. Also, with the audio podcast, we continue to rock and roll with that. Wherever you get your podcasts, just search Locked On Sunbelt. And Apple and Spotify seem to be the most popular. Please rate and review on Apple Podcast. I'm your host, Dave Schultz. Thanks so much for tuning in to Locked On Sunbelt. And enjoy the football, everybody. We'll talk to you again on Friday.